Hi guys, I hope everybody's having a good week. I feel like it's been the longest week ever and really just the longest winter ever. So, it's good that it's almost Friday. It's exciting. We made it through our first week back. Um, a couple of things I want to talk about. I think it's been not a crazy week for us, but we've had a lot going on. This week we did more scheduling. I know I talked about that last week. But this year was a different grade. And it was a grade level I haven't done before. Last year I wasn't here when they did sophomores, and I only have done their scheduling because they were my freshmen last year, if that makes sense. So I had never done sophomore scheduling, so that was a little different for me. I'll talk about that. And then just a couple other things to talk about. So I'll start with something that I had to do on Monday. We had a student who's been at Messina his whole life. His dad is from Messina. His dad works for us actually in our tech department. And he's a really good hockey player. So he went away and was playing hockey somewhere. I don't know if I talked about. I think I talked about him maybe. And he was coming back. And his first day was Monday after break. Um, his dad had come in the week before break and set everything up, looked over his schedule with me, made sure everything was in place. He brought a copy of his courses that he was taking at the school he's in, wherever he's living, near Rochester or something. Um, and we matched them up and everything fit in perfectly. So that wasn't an issue. Um, but what was brought to our attention when he got back was he is very intelligent. And as soon as he was put into our system, he ended up jumping to first of the freshman class already. So I know that really doesn't mean too much right now because he's only a freshman. It's not like valedictorian really means a lot right now. Um, but as far as Messina goes, we have a recognition night for awards, for academic awards, and his dad wanted him to he had asked the principal if he was going to get recognized at this award night for having, what was the award? I think it was just being above a 90 something in all of your courses, which he is. He's far above that. He's got, I think his lowest grade was a 95. Like he's way above it. Um, and at first, our principal said no because these aren't our grades. And then she came to us and we were kind of like, well, why not? Like, he's been gone, but now he's here and he's still holding those grades and they're all the same classes. Like, it's not like he was taking, I don't know, an easier math class and then came here and we just slipped him into this and he's getting grades for something he didn't work for, you know? Like, he still did all the work. They're all Regents track classes that he was in before, and he's just transferring here. He can't really help that he had to come back. It was just something had happened, fell through with his hockey team there, and he had to come back. Um, and they wanted him to be able to recognize him when it's award night for having these grades, and we were like, yeah, like why not? So that was something we had to walk through, and then from that, the conversation of valedictorian got brought up. Um, so something that was brought up in it is because he is number one in this class, and like I said, it doesn't really matter too much because he's only a freshman. But when you are valedictorian, you obviously have to meet different standards and everything. Um, and one of the rules is that to be a valedictorian, you have to be at Messina Central for at least 3 years. So that means that if he just got here, so this is only counting as a half a year. And what we had to get his father to understand, if he wants him to continue to go away to play hockey, but wants him to continue to come back and get the benefits, the academic benefits, is that he can't continue to go away for a half a year and be the valedictorian of his class, which is something I didn't really know. I guess I just figured like you're smart, you're doing the work. If you transfer, like you transfer, and that's what it is. I guess it makes sense that you need to be there for 3 years, but it was nothing I'd really thought about before. And his dad hadn't either because he was like, well, what if I take him um, for half the year every year somewhere else to play hockey? And we're like, well, first of all, that might just not be a good idea because like it's a lot of moving around for one kid in a course of 4 years and having to switch back and forth between schools and new friend groups and figuring everything out, new teachers, catching back up if the schools aren't on track completely. And so we had to explain to him that no, that's not going to add up, because when you add up a half a year every year for 4 years, you're only at 2 years. So I don't think he was happy about that, but that was something I learned with the whole experience of that. Um, Another thing we had go on this week, which I wasn't able to go to because I had class on Tuesday night, but we recently have this new, I don't really know what to call it, partnership kind of, between Paul Smith's and the casino that's up on the reservation, um, and their hospitality stuff. So Paul Smith's came and did a presentation. They had a panel board for students, and practically what is happening now is that the casino and Paul Smith's are working together, um, giving a lot of kids great scholarships and opportunity to go to Paul Smith's and get a degree in hospitality or hotel management, that kind of stuff, and then are guaranteed a job back at the casino after that. Um, so it's kind of a cool concept to think about when you have like all the information down. These kids are practically going to a college that's going to offer them a lot of financial aid because they want their numbers up. And in return, the casino is going to promise them jobs when they come back because they're working so closely together. And because Messina and Salmon River are sending or trying to send more of their students to Paul Smith's. So that was kind of a cool thing to learn about, and hopefully, as it gets started and as it gets going, more schools in the North Country will be able to hop on board with that and be a part of it. Because I think at the night itself, not as many students showed up as they were hoping to. And I think that if we were talking about it, if they expanded it to more schools like Potsdam, Canton, Brazier, Ogdensburg, they'd probably have a lot more success and a lot more students show up for that. And then because of that, more students going to Paul Smith's, and then more students willing to come back to the North Country and work for places like the casino. So that was pretty cool. The other big thing that took up a lot of our time this week actually was the scheduling, like I talked about. We spent 2.5 days in sophomore classrooms. So 6 periods yesterday, 5 periods today, and 3 periods earlier in the week. So this was a different class for me than the junior classes that we went into last week, because juniors already are kind of like set up. They know what they're doing. They know what they need to do next year. And they don't really have that much left. Sophomores, on the other hand, sophomore year is when you need to decide if you're going to go to BOCES or if you're going to be an IB diploma student. And for those of you who don't know what IB is, because I didn't know what it was before I got to Messina, it's kind of like the equivalent to AP. So I know when I was in high school at Canton, we had AP classes, which are the most advanced classes you can take. IB is similar, but I've been told it's higher. I think I'm right on that. It's technically the most advanced diploma you can get as a high school student. So to get an IB diploma, you have to have 2 full course loads, junior and senior year. So these are usually our students who are in the high 90s range that sign up for all IB courses. So what that includes is math, science, English, global, a language, and then theory of knowledge, which all IB students take. So end of sophomore year, in the scheduling that we went into classes for, this is when they decide if they want to be an IB student. So that was new for me, and just figuring out what students had to have in order to go into it. Because technically they don't have to be advanced students. They don't have to be in geometry and trig already this year. There are some loopholes that they can go through to get to IB and still be okay to graduate with an IB diploma. So I learned a lot about that. It's also when students have to decide if they want to go to BOCES, and have them understand that if you're going to go to BOCES, you're going to spend half your day there, and then you only have 4 periods when you come back. And those are taken up with English, social, your PE every other day, and then you have a free period to work with. But a lot of kids want a language, they want to be in band still, and they want chorus, and they want art, and they have a hard time weeding out what they really want and what they're okay with going without. So, yeah, that was definitely a different scheduling thing for me. I enjoyed it though. I like seeing the different ways students were going and what they wanted to do and what their thoughts were on all of it. I think the hardest part of it was to get those few students who, because you can't just go into a student and be like, you have bad grades, like, so usually we're like, okay, what do we sit down with a student? Are you thinking IB or BOCES, or what are your thoughts for next year? And when you have a student who's got a 60 in math and a 55 in English, and they say, I think I want to be full IB, you kind of have to like help them take a step back and be like, okay, like let's look at our grades. You're going to struggle if you try to do that. So those are hard conversations because some of the kids just like don't really understand. They want to do well, but it's a lot of work, and I don't think they really completely get that. Um, I think one other thing to go along with that is a lot of students want to go to BOCES and they also want to do IB. And that they can take some IB courses, yes, but a lot of them are like, well, I want to go for allied health my senior year, but I want to be full IB. Well, that doesn't really work because you don't really have enough time to get all those IB courses in that you need, as well as go to allied health um, and get your PE credit at the same time. So, yeah, that was good for the most part. I think we have a couple classes maybe to do tomorrow. A couple classes that we couldn't quite get into on Tuesday because it was kind of a crazy day. We had one counselor out, and then it just seemed to be one thing after another. So we had a couple of us that couldn't go in during a couple periods, and it's almost pointless to send one counselor in for the whole class because there's no way they can get through um, 25 scheduling mini session things with every student. So I think we have a couple of those to go tomorrow, but they've been good so far. So I'm looking forward to those, and I'm looking forward to hearing about everybody else's week. So I hope everybody has a good Friday and a good weekend.